think about what happened during the when God rescued the Israelites from slavery from the Egyptians, and there was the 10 plagues, and
Hmm.
God, and there's a verse that said God hardened the heart of Pharaoh. Well, the hardening of the heart was actually showing him his power and showing him, hey, this is I think that we need to be antagonists right now to really show what these people believe, and that has been the last 3 years. I think things have been really revealed on what is evil and what is good. Things used to be
Hmm.
kind of gray. There used to be a lot of gray area in our beliefs, and now it's kind of like, all right, this is pretty clear that this is evil. This is clear, like, for example, abortion. And now the Satanists are admitting that abortion's a ritual. And so they're trying to
Hmm.
protect their abortion ritual in states that are trying to outlaw it, right? And make it so that you can't have abortions past 6 weeks or something like that. And now Satanists are saying, you know what, this is one of our rituals. Well, that makes it very clear that abortion is evil, right? And
Yeah, yeah.
for some people, it wasn't very black and white. They didn't really know whether or not it was evil, especially some Christians. I know some Christians that are
Hmm.
switching their views on that because before they were brainwashed into thinking it had to do with women's rights or whatever and women's
Hmm.
health care, and now they're realizing, wow, this is truly evil. So I just think right now is just a sifting time, and God is exposing a lot of what's going on. And there's some people that are there to be the warm and fuzzy and embrace all of the Christians that are the new Christians that are coming in, or the people that are leaving the left and embracing God and Jesus and love and light. And then there's also some people that need to be on the front lines and exposing the darkness. And it's
Yep.
not an easy place to be, but if God's calling you to do that, you need to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I love you shared this story of the Israelites and the plagues because after that, they're led out of Egypt and they wander in the desert for 40 years. And then when they get to Jericho, right, and they have to walk around, they're walking around together, 7 times, quiet as can be. But in order for those walls to fall down, they all yelled and make a lot of noise all together at the very same time. That's what brought
Yes.
the
Yeah.
walls down. And that's
Hmm.
where I feel like we are at right now is God has called those people, those warriors that know the truth, that see the spiritual battle, that know that abortion is feeding Moloch, the god. It's the same as it
Yeah.
was at the beginning. It is that today. This confusion, this ideology of falsehood, this false teaching, the changing of definitions, the confusion that they're pushing on the youth, on everybody. So I think we all have to yell about it as loud as we can because when we do that, God's going to answer and those walls are going to fall down. I believe that in my core.
Question
Yes,
for the both of
absolutely.
you. So, abortion specifically has become more of like in my opinion, it's become almost a cultural issue at this point, right? Where it used to be kind of like, oh, it was a women's issue. Now it's a cultural issue. They've gone from aborting babies at 3 months to now aborting babies after they're born, which is murder. And I think that's what's going to help push this culture back the other direction. And I'm curious to know, like your thoughts on where we're at as a culture when it comes to abortion.
Well, yeah, I used to be on the left and I used to be pro-choice, and I had abortion myself in my early 20s, and that was my one chance to have a child. Um, I think that this whole idea that it's women's health care, when it actually destroys our health, it destroys a part of us. I will never be the same because of what I did. And it was my one chance to have a child on this earth. I know I'll meet that child in heaven, but I can't have kids now. And I don't think it was because of the abortion, but it's other health issues that I've been dealing with the last couple years. And that's sad. It's it really does. And I think about how it is causing women who want, when they have their children, they don't care about them as much as they should because they were willing to kill the child that was in their womb. And so I do think that there's a hardening of hearts that's happening to women. I mean, if you look at the animal kingdom, you look at animals, and what do? They protect their babies like at all
Mhm.
costs. And that's what we should be doing right now. And look at what we're doing with our children. I mean, we're just sending them to these government schools that indoctrinate them, that destroy them, that are unsafe. We're, feeding them all this garbage, our
Mhm.
children, when
Mhm.
they should be getting, healthy, nutritious foods. And there's just this major attack that's happening on the family and on women, especially. And I think a lot of it has to do with abortion and telling women that it's totally okay and normal to kill your own child. and what that does to the woman afterwards, especially if she becomes a mother. And yeah, I don't have. I think that heartbeat bills are really good, and they're a good compromise right now, because to do a straight up abortion ban, they would flip out. But we need to keep also changing the culture and telling people exactly what this is doing to us. It's not women's health care. It's actually hurting women, and it's destroying these precious lives that are in their bodies. So just more awareness on what it is and what they're doing to these children.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. You know, the flat out ban would just cause more uproar. You know, I'm pro life 100%. Um, I do believe that it's spiritual, that it's tied to, you know, feeding the devil and all the spirits that go into that. And I think you're right that it is going to take women being bold enough to admit, and share those stories that are tough to share, that you've had an abortion, that society got to you, but then the after effects of you unfortunately cannot have children, you know, or that anguish that a mother or woman still feels after the fact, you know,
Well,
going
think
on.
about.
And
Go ahead. I was going to
no, go
say
ahead.
that they say there should be a provision for rape, but if you look at the real statistics behind that, 80% of women that were raped and become pregnant, they actually keep their baby. And this is not something that is shared with people when they argue for this. And then of the 20% of women that decided to abort their baby, some of them have described the abortion as like a second rape. Think about the abortion procedure. You cannot stop it. Once it starts, you can't stop. So you can't say stop, stop. It's painful, it's scary, and you get something taken from you. And so a lot of these women have described it as but this education isn't out there. All they say is
Mhm.
we need to make sure that women that are raped are allowed to have abortions, when they don't share the other side of it, that there are some women that have been hurt by the again for a second time, um, with the abortion that they have.
Yeah.
And so there's a lack of education and censorship of our side, of those that are pro life. We're not allowed to share those types of things in schools and stuff like that.
Call me a
Yeah, I
libertarian, but where I draw the line is like, it's tough for me to want to allow the government to have say over what somebody can do over their body. We all saw what happened with the vaccine. But then I saw governors, like the governor of Virginia, I think his name is McCullough, who basically said that if the child has some sort of deformity, that once it's born, we're going to have a discussion with the parent and we'll decide what to do afterwards. And I go, that's murder. I was like you, Callie. I was more of the liberal idea where it's like, hey, I think abortion up to a certain point is okay. There should be a place where we draw the line. I've always looked at late term abortion as a bad thing. But then I saw them murdering babies, or admitting to possibly murdering babies. And I'm pretty sure you're familiar with this. In California, they tried to institute a law where you could abort a baby 28 days after it's born. And I go, listen, if you're going to make me side with a group of people, I'm going to go with the pro-lifers, because you guys are trying to murder babies after they're born.
Oh,
see.
that
I
law in
was
California, just to add a little more detail to that law, because I read it. It basically was, if a mom shows up to a hospital and the baby, after it was born, is dead, they cannot persecute the mom, even if there's suspicion that the mom killed the baby. That's isn't
wow,
that yeah,
Oh my God.
that
wow,
and
But if
that's
you're a drunk
yeah.
driver and you kill a pregnant
yeah,
mom, it's double homicide.
exactly,
Correct.
exactly.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. That's absurdity law. And I would say, going to that, how many doctors, because I know there's many stories. I personally know somebody that the doctor told them that, I have two friends actually. The doctor told them that the baby you are carrying is going to have some type of disability. It's a very high likelihood, that's a 90 something percentile, that the baby's going to have some type of disability. You need to abort the child. Both of these people did not allow the words from that doctor to take power over them. They both decided to have those girls, and they're beautiful, healthy, with no disability. So how many times are these doctors misdiagnosing this or speaking this upon somebody before God is done forming these babies?
Yeah.
So I think that is a very misleading thing today too, that people say, oh, well, if it's a disability, then we should have the right to, because it's going to make our life tough. Look how many children have, my wife works with children with disabilities. How many times these children are blessings that they could teach us some things, you know, in how they handle and deal with life, that blessing of what we view in the world as a disability might be the biggest blessing to that family. And it's not going to say it's going to be easy. There is toughness that comes to it, but there's beauty in those trials, you know?